Hello, welcome back to Blender LIVENODING. In this episode, we're gonna take a look at an easy nodes in SVerchok, but it's really powerful. It was only recently added. It's called Texture Displace. Okay, this Texture Displace, before I even started with this, I want to show you that it's really similar to Blender owns modifier. It's called Displace Modifier. And of course, the function of this modifier is to displace these objects or this mesh based on the texture. And currently, if we are displacing it, we don't see much because this box has very little resolutions. So we're gonna subdivide it. It's just a box, and we're gonna subdivide it. And the box the box itself is not live, but inside SVerchok, we can actually change the box later. Okay, so I subdivide it many times, and I will use a simple, and here I will create a new texture, and the texture itself by default is image or movie. I will change it to maybe Musgrave, and here we can update the texture live. And let's see what else we can do. We can use an objects and use an empty, assign the empty as the objects, and we can start moving the texture around. So that's the basic of subdivisions modifier. Everyone already knows. If I delete everything, we have nothing. Inside SVerchok, of course, we can start with a box, and the box can have any kind of subdivision. So I'm gonna assign it like 10 by 10 by 10. Plug this in. I'm gonna be using fewer bmesh right away, and hopefully we can start to see something. Okay, we can see the box. It's being pushed by the texture displace. We are not using any texture yet, but you can see there's a lot of options, directions based on the normal, X, Y, Z, etc. Texture coordinate, UV, mesh, texture matrix.
Where would you like?
We actually can use the texture from here. This is our Musgrave texture, of course, and we can change the size, and it should be actually updating, but if I try to change it here, it doesn't update here unless we change the value. So maybe we can use random number, create a frame, plug this into the seed. This is gonna force update this value. Oh, let's make it really clear. Float 0.9. Let's save this very quickly. Desktop. So this is Texture Displace SVerchok, and now the frame is gonna force update this guy, so we can change the value here while looking at the result. So it's a bit funny, but it's okay. It's gonna work for us, and we can increase the number of subdivisions. 30 by 30 by 30. Be careful with this value, don't go too high. Depends on your computer. You can go 1000 by 1000 by 1000, but that's like a lot. So as I'm changing the texture, it's gonna update as well. Cool. And of course, we can always make changes to the box whenever we want. We can change it into any objects. For now, we're gonna keep it as a box and look at other things below level. Our texture can be changed. Of course, this is procedural. We can use cloud, change the size. It's very similar to Blender modifier, so it's very easy to use. We also have this texture matrix. We can scrub it, change the position of the texture. We can scale it, all that. So it's all gonna work. You can also rotate it. So it's really cool. No, it's really powerful. And if you ever want to use UV, because SVerchok itself doesn't have UV, you can still actually do it if you provide like an image and try to assign it here. Let's say create an image and assign it with a UV grid or color grid. Okay, assign. So we have this, and we want to use this image in here. So how is it gonna work? Because we don't have UV, so we're gonna have to use this UV, and we have this UV coordinates, and I believe we just need to plug it in, or we actually need to have a plane. This is a grid plane. We plug this in and we center and normalize it. So it doesn't seem to work. So I have a feeling we can try, okay, instead of using box, for example, we're gonna replace it with a plane. We're gonna center the plane, and then we're gonna use integer number. Let's try 20 by 20. And this UV is also 20 by 20. But this data goes in there, and let's see if this is working. That's the polygon. Okay, not seeing anything yet. Maybe I forgot something. Okay, this is the image texture. Okay, it's the image texture. UV coordinate alpha. Okay, this is should be luminosity maybe. Okay, there we go. Maybe I was doing it right the first time. Increase this value, but so I center this. Maybe I don't need to center it. I'm trying to get this result. Maybe the step need to be changed. Okay, so we are getting something. Center. Okay. Okay, sorry about the noise. So the resolutions need to be correct. So something about this UV coordinates. But so we should be able to do the same with the box. So it's kind of using this data as the UV coordinates for texture displays. The actual objects itself doesn't have UV maps, which is kind of interesting. So it's still doing the displacement. So yeah, so that's basically what this texture displays can do. This is only showing you the very basic functions. This is of course to move the texture. Oh, it doesn't work because we are using the UV. But make sure this channel is set to luminosity or any other channel that has alpha. I'm kind of curious if we replace this with a box. So let's try a box. Subdivisions 10 by 10 by 10. Value goes in. And this goes in there. So it doesn't seem to like it because the UV coordinate probably doesn't match. Which is kind of interesting actually. So the UV need to match somehow. We cannot just randomly plug it in. So the number of points need to match. So this actually works. Like that. Okay, so I guess I can save this just for example. But if you don't want to use UV, you can use other things like mesh matrix or the texture matrix, which is also probably more useful than the UV. It depends on what you're doing. UV, because if you think of UV, it needs to be flat. But mesh matrix and texture matrix is can be 3D. Okay, so I think my Blender is frozen, but that's pretty much what Displace Modifier does in Blender, and then also how Texture Displace node from SVerchok add-on would work. Okay, thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.